Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Who wants to go first? Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
So we're supposed to start by introducing ourselves, our books, and a bit about our spiritual background. Who's going to go first?
You are, because you're talking.
All right. I'm Madame Pamita, and this is my book, The Book of Candle Magic. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I love this book so much. I love what Llewellyn has done with this book with the illustrations and the cover and everything too. Anyway, I am a spellcaster, tarot reader, teacher, author, and I'm located here in Los Angeles, California. I have been doing magic since I was a little girl. I grew up in a magical household. My mother was Ukrainian. We're diaspora Ukrainians on that side of the family, and grew up practicing magic, although we didn't call it magic. We were just doing it, but it wasn't magic. It was just normal life. So anyway, that's me. And you can find me at parlorwonders.com. That's where you can find me.
All right, I'm Najah Lightfoot. Hi, everybody. I'm the multi-award-winning author of Good Juju, Mojo's Rites and Practices for the Magical Soul. Yay! And I'm a practicing witch. I've been at it a long time. I grew up, I'm a child of the 60s, so I grew up with all that you believe in magic and music and, love songs, and just have always been a child of nature. And I've just been at this for a long time. I'm really excited to be on here to talk about love. I'm a student of hoodoo, of conjure, of New Orleans voodoo, but mostly I'm just deep in my soul. I'm a practicing witch. And I love witchcraft. I love spells. And I love all these people here with me today and all of you over there in the chat room. So that's me.
Yay. Hi, everybody. I'm Sasha Graham. I'm the author of tons of tarot titles for Llewellyn. My latest piece is the Darkwood Tarot, which came out earlier this year. Thank you so much. And it's so funny. I have to share with you guys my card of the day today that I picked was the Lover's card. So,
yay.
So perfect. My spiritual background, I was raised in a really artistic family, and my teacher has always been nature, because I grew up in these crazy rural settings, from like the mountains of Colorado to the mountains of Vermont, and on farms. And so it was really nature that was my teacher, and tarot that has become my practice. So I'm really happy to be here today and talk about love.
I guess it's my turn. My name is Mat Auryn. I am the author of Psychic Witch, which just turned a year old the other day, which is exciting. My magical practice goes all the way back to childhood. I was a Silver Raven Wolf, Scott Cunningham child, devouring those books. Since then, I have been trained and initiated in different witchcraft traditions and magical training aside from actual traditions. I used to say that I am a professional reader, but now I now say I'm an ex-professional psychic and tarot reader, because I have stopped doing that. Probably indefinitely. We'll have to see. And I'm super excited to be here. These are some of my favorite people. This is a very fascinating subject. So that's my book.
Okay, I got a question here from Llewellyn. Controversial facet of love spells. Are they ethical? Why or why not? What does everyone think?
Well, I like to say that that the great thing about witchcraft is that there is no Bible of witchcraft. There's no high authority that tells you what you can and can't do. So as a result, the responsibility lies with the individual, that you get to decide what's ethical for you. So what's right for me may not be right for anybody else, or you guys might have a different opinion, but I always like to say that I practice in a way that I check in with my guides and I see what is right for me and what I can do and what I can't do. And it's my personal decision. So sometimes people will say, well, isn't it bad or wrong to do a coercive love spell, for example? And I say, well, what do you think? Is it right or bad or wrong? And I say to people, first start with your religion or your spiritual practice. Do they have something to say about that? If they don't, then you get to decide for you. It might be on a case-by-case basis, or you might have a blanket belief or system. So that's my 2 cents about that.
Sasha?
Oh, I have to say that as far as my personal beliefs and what I kind of advocate aligns, of course, with the Magician card in tarot. And when we look at the Magician card, we see they've got all 4 suits, all of the elements on their table, but they're very separate from that. And I think that a powerful sorceress, a powerful witch, and in my opinion, a responsible one, is not casting magic on the world outside of her, but she's really casting the magic on herself. And it comes back to personal responsibility. So if you're in the right place and if you are doing the magic essentially on you, the world will rearrange itself in its own way, where you don't even have to go out to kind of manipulate anything outside of you. So I think the most powerful magic should always be on you. And I don't think it's ethical to cast spells on other people.
Okay, thanks, Sasha. Matt, what do you got to say?
I'm a little bit of column A and column B. So, in my traditional witchcraft training, there's this strong emphasis of not casting on others and love and stuff like that. But in my experience, my magic and my mundane life are kind of intertwined. And if you really look at how we act daily, we're constantly doing things to manipulate others and to manipulate our perception of ourselves to others, whether that's wearing cologne or, sending flowers to someone and trying to kind of get them to fall in love with you. I personally am not a big fan of casting on others unless it's absolutely needed. And I don't feel like love for myself is something that I feel is a need to cast on someone else. I usually fall more in line with what Sasha's saying because I'm a little bit more hermetic. So I'm more about like focusing on myself and what I do. But one of my roommates, Chaz Bogan, his background is in folk magic. And so he's totally all about like casting on others. And his whole thing is you can't truly cast a love spell on someone where there isn't anything there to begin with. So in his view, what you're doing is you're enhancing what's already there. You're kind of growing it. And if that person doesn't feel anything for you at all, it's not going to be successful. I go back to like what Madame Pamita is saying, where I believe that magic is a very personal thing and ethics and mileage is going to vary. But for myself, I have not cast on another individual for myself, and I don't do magic for others. So I haven't been in the spot where I've done it on someone on behalf of someone else. Not that that's a bad thing or a good thing. It's just my personal experience. I haven't cast direct love spells on someone.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I get that. So for me personally, y'all see this white hair up here on my head. I told people, I've been married a really long time. Thank you. 20 plus years to my true love. I've got grandchildren. I have grown children. And, for my personal practice, I'm all about keeping the sexy going because love takes work. Love ebbs and flows. Someday love is good. Someday love is like, oh, could you just like, can we just miss each other for a little while? I'm all about working with altars and, so I have a love altar that I work all the time and it's become something really fun in my house. So I like to throw out the word consent when it comes to doing love magic. I don't go around, I think if your ego is so pumped up that you think you can cast a love spell on someone and they're going to come to you, you know, you're going to find yourself with some shitty outcomes sometimes. But, you know, casting love, doing love magic to keep the sexy going. You can have it fun if it's consensual between you and your partner. You can do all kinds of things with love magic to bring love. You know, and we were talking earlier before we went live, you know, there's love, there's lust, there's passion, there's all kinds of levels of degree of love. So, you know, you kind of have to, you know, think about what it is that your intentions really are. And you can always, you know, work on yourself because, you know, if you don't love all this, then who's going to love all that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's see. Next question. Okay. Should all love spells be self-love spells before we go to complicated things? Should all love spells be self-love spells?
I don't think all love spells should be on the self. I am a big advocate of love spells on the self. But that also comes from my paradigm. Like, I'm very big on, you know, doing magic on yourself and getting to a place where you feel comfortable with yourself and you feel sovereign and you feel empowered. And I think any kind of magic kind of should be launched from that kind of home base. But, you know, I don't think that means that you can't, you know, do magic on other people for love. You know, specifically, like the love spells that I've done have been not targeted on someone specific. And if they have, you know, I'm already in a relationship with them. So it's more of like an enhancement sort of thing, like, you know, kind of overcoming obstacles or reuniting that spark. But in my opinion, you know, I don't think all love spells should be on the self, but I am a strong advocate of casting magic on yourself more than other specific people. But once again, everyone's mileage is going to vary.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between between a self-love spell and casting a love spell, because in both senses, like a self-love spell seems to me something where you're really working about cultivating your sense of, you know, personal love and appreciation. All of that stuff is great. I think you can also cast love spells, and I do this a lot. I work a lot with people with the tarot about just say you're looking for love, you're looking to attract love, casting a spell on yourself to open yourself up to your highest possibility. And in that way, you are casting on yourself, but you're opening yourself up so that the universe, divinity, whatever you want to call it, will kind of answer your call in the form of that soul, person, presence, whatever it is you're casting for. And in a sense, because love is kind of the underlying energy of all life anyway, and it is the expansive thing which creates manifestation, almost all spells where you're reaching out for something that's in your heart, and you're reaching out to the universe and asking for it, which is what I think we do when we do spellcraft, is a love spell. So I just wanted to make the differentiation between a self-love spell and a love spell, because I think you can do both of them very successfully, but I think they're two different things.
What about you, Pamita? I want to hear your views.
I'm going to turn this whole thing around.
Yeah, what you got to say?
Well, first thing I have to say is I agree with you guys 100%. Like, the foundation of your building your house, having an amazing relationship, that foundation has to be strong. And the foundation is, do I feel good about myself? Because what do? If we don't feel good about ourselves, we make choices. We're like, I'm desperate. I'll just take anybody. Or I'll accept this bad behavior because maybe that's all I'm worth. Or maybe I can't do anything better. So I do think that kind of idea of the self-love spell is profound, because it will change your view about love and inviting someone into your life, right? But I'm going to say something else. How about doing a self-love spell for your target so that they love themselves, so that they're not acting out in ways that are ego-based? That's a whole other thing that is quite powerful, where you get, like, maybe your partner is running around, for example. Well, they're running around and being and lying to you or doing something else might come from a place that they don't feel good about themselves, so they need a lot of validation from out there. And if that's the case, you casting a self-love spell for them to love themselves can help your relationship. And that's something you have to either really be insightful and see that, or, maybe it shows up in getting a reading or something like that you see that that's the cause of this behavior that you want to modify. And there's a very loving spell that you can do that has some coercive aspects, but really kind of light coercive aspects. And so that's another way to work with self-love work, not just on yourself, but on someone else.
What about you, Najah?
Okay, let's see. I'm going to help people too, if you don't mind. I say my name, Najah. It's really hard. Well, I think there are degrees of magic, and there's different degrees of love. I think that, when you work magic, first of all, you're entering into a relationship with yourself and your magical self. And so you're already working with love within yourself, because you got to love yourself and work to build confidence in yourself when you're going to do any kind of magic and when you're going to do any kind of spells. And I also I want to take it a different level too. Like you were saying, Madame Pamita, that, I have a morning ritual and I get up every day. And when I see the sun and I face the east, that's love. That's like just open love pouring down into me, and that fuels me to say, oh, wow, the universe is just sending me all this love today, and I can engage with that open source of love. And then from there, I can take my magic and decide, should I use, what kind of spell am I going to do in terms of like what kind of oil do I want to love myself up with today? Or what kind of scent do I want to burn in my house for love today? And also, I want to say things about, it takes time and effort. And a lot of people think that, oh, you do love magic, you do this, you just do this thing once. If you really have a strong intention to bring anything into your life, especially love for yourself or anybody else, you have to work at it. You have to take time and be humble, be humble with it. And I think you get a lot of good things from that. Okay.
Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read the question?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Are any of you doing your love spells differently this year? Perhaps focusing more on well-being and self-care than on physical love? Maybe differences in what is available for spell ingredients? Well, guys, are you?
I honestly am just trying to make it through COVID.
Girl, I have dug into every little thing that I stashed away. I found some old red candles. I don't know where they came from. Oh, the Vietnamese store. Yeah. That's what I was burning today. I put a picture up on Instagram. That's an old dusty package of red candles. And COVID has been so good at like making us like dig into our stash. How about you guys? I'm like, oh, I can use that. Oh yeah, I got that in my stash. It's kind of dusty, but I'll dust it off. Use it. It's been working great.
Well, I make all my own candles and I make all my stuff, so I'm a little bit different situation. But one thing that has been really different for me has been like on my site, I have a ton of free resources at my site. parlorwonders.com is my website. And if you go over to learn on that website, there's blog articles and how-to guides and all kinds of free right there. One of the articles that I had was 66 places to meet new people. And I used to refer people to that all the time. And it's 66 places out there in the world. And I'm like, oh crap, that's not going to work. So I collaborate with people when I do readings for people or sessions with people. We collaborate on what is your situation where you are, because some place they may be socializing and other places it may be like here in LA where we're just in a bunkers hiding out. So it's being creative and coming up with how to do the action part of your love work. There's the love part of like really putting out into the universe to bring that lover to you, let's say meeting someone new, but what's the action part of it? Because it's not, unless you're living in a porno, it's not a pizza delivery guy coming to your door. All right. I'm just saying that.
Speaking of which, how much action are these UPS guys getting? That is literally the only new male face I see on a semi-regular basis. I'm like, oh, there you go. I got it. I got it.
Oh my gosh.
We went in a whole different direction now.
I'm going to do a call for some more packages.
So that reminds me of something before I answer the question that Pamita brought up, which she was talking about like places to meet people. And that reminds me of when I was training with Lori Cabot, one of the things she really emphasized was the action part of the spell. So like she would use the metaphor of like doing a love spell to bring love into your life. But if you just sit on your couch all day, like Prince Charming isn't going to break through the walls. And with COVID, like that makes it a lot more difficult, you know, because we can't, or we shouldn't be out places mingling and meeting different people. And that kind of ties into like in my book, I talk about like the different planes of reality and how that ties into our aura. And like the last part of grounding it is that physical action, like doing something in the physical world to kind of ground and manifest it into this plane of reality. When it comes to the actual question that we were asked, my love spells this year, I'm very big on Venus. So out of all of the planetary energies, Venus is my buddy. And it's not just for love. Like I use Venus for money. I use Venus for anything I want to draw to myself and attract to myself, right? But this year, well, I guess last year, because we're in 2021 now, has been really more about doing magic on myself, not so much to love myself or to draw love to me, but to come from a place of love for other people, particularly with how divided we are and how crappy people have been in the last year and how horrible things are. Like, how can I still, as a human, like, have sympathy for someone that I feel doesn't deserve it? You know, like, how can I still like keep that kind of spiritual thread of like, this is a human, they're damaged, they're, you know, dangerous, you know, but how can I not hate them? Because hate has been a very tempting thing within this last year, and anger and rage. And I don't think anger is necessarily a bad thing, but I find that like last year, like a lot of the events that happened have really taken me off of my center and have really made me a not heart-centered person. And especially since a lot of that anger comes from a heart-centered place, you know, because a lot of it has to deal with how I feel other people are being mistreated. So I would say that has been the biggest change for me in regards to like the love magic stuff that I've been doing. What about you, Sasha?
Like, I mean,
other than UPS men.
Other than the UPS. So one of the things that I often find very helpful and go back to, I too have been in a relationship. I'm married for 27 years, which leads to not love challenges so much as like passion, sex, excitement challenges. And that's really where I return to Kundalini practices and really about engaging sort of the 5 witching senses: sight, smell, taste, feeling, the feeling of your own skin, a sense of returning to the present moment, so that there's so much sensory pleasure around you that just if you like really pay attention by getting into the shower, you know, it can be an extraordinary, sensual, amazing experience. So I think my biggest kind of challenge has been to go back and find sensual pleasure, you know, in a place where I'm essentially kind of being, I feel like, it feels like, you know, that I don't get to leave and I'm not getting any outside stimulation. because I'm normally I live in New York City. You fall in love walking down every time you walk a block, you could fall in love, in the city. So yeah, so mine has been taking more of a Kundalini bent, which is something that you can do when you want to go in and explore the world of a tarot card. So yeah, that's been my biggest change.
Oh no, Pamita.
Well, there's a question for me from Llewellyn. It says, Pamita, your latest book is the Book of Candle Magic. Why are candles so powerful when doing spell work? Sorry. And what are your favorite colors, herbs for doing love spells? Oh, such a good thing. Well, I actually can say there are so many different kinds of love, as we've been talking about here, and so many different kinds of love spells that there's not really like a one size fits all. I have a little page up on my site, which is showing you like different love spells for different situations. So if you go to my site and you want to I don't know what to do for this situation, you can go and look under spells, look at Love Magic Headquarters, and you can find it. But in general, let's talk about love candle magic. So candle magic really, really, really shines when you are working on something that you really want to push with the element of fire. You want to create passion. I mean, what's better for passionate love is fire. My gosh, working with fire. Our ancestors, our most ancient ancestors worked with the element of fire. So we don't have a big campfire in the middle of our house. We might have a fireplace if we're lucky, but we don't have a big campfire in the middle of the house. So how do we work with the element of fire? Candles are this beautiful, very controlled way, relatively safe way of working with fire in our lives and in our home when we don't have a cave with a campfire in it. So what I love about candle magic is that we can work and affect change on something sympathetically. So sympathetic magic is working on something that you don't have right in front of you. So when we do a love spell to draw that lover to us, to bring in our true love, or to whatever it is, something that's out there, we can work with a candle here to affect out there. So that's why candle magic is so, so great. Plus the passion and the fire, right? We can also bring that color magic into our candle spells. And I have a whole section on color magic and working with color magic with candles. Red for passion, such a good color for working with a very passionate love where you want to have all that sexy chemistry and all of that. And maybe pink if you want to have a more romantic relationship. You want to feel the heart feelings. You want to feel that love emotion. So you can do what I talk about in the spell in my book, and when you get into more complex spells, is you can bring more than one color in, right? So you could have a red candle for your master candle, your main candle, and bring in pink candles to bring in romance and passion, right? But really, there's so many colors you can use. What if you want a sugar mama or sugar daddy? You could use a green candle or a yellow candle. What if you want to reconcile? You can use a light blue candle or a lavender candle. So there's lots of nuance in working with color. Herbs, oh my gosh, you guys don't have enough time for me to talk about love herbs. Let me just say one thing about love herbs. This is super important, and I think super important as a person who cares about nature and cares about our world. There are herbs that we talk about in old magic that are very rare, and some of them are endangered, and they may be for love magic. I'm not going to name them because I don't want you guys getting the notion. Going to be controlling that way. But, some roots and some things are endangered, and we shouldn't be raping the earth to do our magic, right? So guess what? There are plenty of love herbs. Just because it's rare and endangered does not make it more powerful than the ones that we have lots of ready access to. A rose. Roses are everywhere. Roses are everywhere. They're beautiful. They're magical. They are old magic. It is not just some weird thing. And if we use rose petals in our magic, we're not destroying the environment. We're not destroying something. They're easy to get. So don't think it has to be rare, hard to find, endangered to be powerful. And don't think you have to use lots of herbs. You can get very easy to get herbs in your spice cabinet, in your garden, at the florist. That can be beautiful for your love magic. So that's my soapbox. Dang it.
So I kind of want to add to that. I'm an animist as a witch. So I'm very big on like not viewing these things as just ingredients, but spiritual energy in itself, and talking to it and communing it with it. And one of the things that I teach in the book is if you don't have an ingredient or you don't have access to the ingredient, calling upon the spirit of that plant to be infused into your magic. And something that kind of ties what Sasha and Pamita were saying in my book as well, one of the things I talk about is enhancing candle magic. So the basics of my book is not just psychic development, opening to psychic ability. It's once you have done that, reverse engineering that to empower your magic. So I think it's like exercise 82 or something, enhancing candle magic. So what I do, and I think I used a love spell as the example, is if I'm doing like a candle spell for love, I do what Sasha was saying. I engage all those senses, right? So I like, what does love look like in my mind's eye? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? You know, and I totally get all of those senses engaged and infuse that into the candle to really enhance and draw out that energy. And I've like, for me, that has been like the most powerful thing when it comes to candle magic, because candle magic is going to be effective whether you do that or not. But if you can engage and infuse all of that, I hate the word intent, but intent into the candle, I have had extreme success with doing that.
Well, I want to jump in here, and I want to talk about love mojos, because I'm all about the mojo. Okay. And so I think that one thing that's really helpful in magic and in love is to create something tangible that you can hold on to. And there's been a couple people over in the chat saying, hey, I haven't dated for a long time, or I don't know how to get out and stuff like that. And I even though I've been married for a long time, I still remember being out there trying to hook up with somebody, you know, or whatever. And, you know, and I think one thing about magic and spell work is that it's fun. And so, you know, sometimes we get so up in our heads, like, oh, I got to meet somebody. I got to be this, that, and the other. Well, maybe if you can like sit down for a minute and do some crafty stuff, because I'm all about the craft and witchcraft, and we get kind of away from all of that. So, you know, one of the things that I found that's been really fun, that's crafty and fun, is to make a love mojo. And a mojo is just a piece of fabric. It could be flannel. We usually use flannel in my practice. Red flannel. You can put some rose petals in it. You can use olive oil to anoint it. Tie it up with a string, and you could also write yourself a little love poem. You know, what is it that you're looking for in love? Let it be big and expansive, not just, oh, it's got to be the UPS man that comes up tomorrow. But what is it about that UPS man that you like? Oh, he's tall. He has green eyes, maybe. Maybe he has deep, dark brown eyes. Maybe he's a dark-skinned love man. Or, you know, maybe he's a blue-eyed soul like my husband is, you know, or he's kind, or what do you like about yourself? Well, I'm kind, I'm kind of getting out there. Put that on a little piece of paper. Wrap that shit up in a little flannel bag, light a candle, put some olive oil on it, pass it through the candle, and carry it next to your heart, or put it under your pillow, and then let it go and see what happens with that. That's good, fun, easy, tangible magic. And don't be so attached to the outcome that your love's got to show up just like that, because you might not want that to show up just like that.
Can I just add on to that? And I think what she just said is so super important about any spell that anybody casts, and that is put your heart, your soul, your imagination into it, and then it's the Tower card in tarot, release all expectation, because there's a very good reason that like the world and the universe can surprise you, right? The greatest things in life you can't pre-anticipate. So when people are upset that the 6'7" like venture capitalist isn't showing up, and meanwhile there's a really attractive like short blonde right there being like, love me, love me, love me. Let go of what you think it's supposed to look like. There's a reason you don't know. And so many people, I think, miss things that are right in front of their face because it doesn't look like they expected it to look. So really let go once you're done. Let go.
Yeah, that So in my training, with the witch's pyramid, the to be silent, the way I was taught is that it's not so much about like being quiet about the magic you're doing, but it's about like totally like pretending like it hasn't happened, like letting it go, because you're no longer touching that energy. Because every time you think about it, you're drawing it back, right? So Devin Hunter, he talks about yo-yoing your energy, right? So every time you think about it, every time you doubt it, every time you question or obsess over it, you're kind of drawing back that manifestation to you. And every time it sends back out, it kind of weakens a little bit. So like definitely what Sasha's saying, like there's this strong emphasis that I try to tell people: once you've done the magic, let it go. Just let it go, be silent with yourself about it. Like just because when you obsess over it, it's almost like you're still working on the magic and you haven't totally let it go. So in my book, like I was talking about the aura and the planes of reality, like there's the level of divine where you just have to let it go, the very last, and just trust that the universe is going to do its thing. I
would say a little bit differently. Like if you need to get out of your way because you can't think about it anyway but negative, then don't think about it. But if you can put your positive energy toward it, you can think about it. And I've had great success with practicing to visualize that love over and over again. So I think what you're saying and what I'm saying are the same kind of two tracks on the same train. I don't know, but it's your candle will do your work if you can't be consistent in your vision, right? Like set the intention of doing your love work with that candle and then let it go. Because if you're going to be back and forth with it, if you're going to be one step forward and one step backward, I want a love in my life. Oh, but I'm not deserving of a love. That's no good. You're absolutely right with that. But if you can be consistently saying, I have love in my life, or I manifest the perfect love, that is actually a good way to continually work and give energy towards something. However, hard to do that. It's not easy to do that. Candle keeps the work going forward when you may not be able to keep the work going forward. So if you go into the negative,
you can also throw that. I like to throw in that line. Some, a lot of times for the highest good of all concerned. Because I may not know what my highest good is. I think I know why I'm doing this spell, but is it really for my highest good? So what about for the highest good of all concerned? And then that kind of takes the pressure off of me a little bit. I've done the spell. I've done the mojo. I'm lighting the candle. And then it's like, okay, and for the highest good of all concerned. Because then that kind of, puts it out there again. Bringing your higher power, your deities, the universe, whoever it is, whatever it is that you call upon when you do your work, because I do believe strongly that you are working with spirit. That's why we're witches and we do these things. So, and, include that. That kind of lets you off the hook a little bit too.
Yeah, my favorite one is to say, I want Joe Smith or someone better. So if I can't have Joe Smith, I'll get someone better. I'm good with that.
And
I also say the perfect outcome and perfect timing, which is another way of saying like that you may need to have 6 months of being single before you get in with someone because there may be some work. So I always say perfect outcome and perfect timing. So it's another thing.
I agree with what you're saying, Pamita. If I'm understanding you correct about like the energy thing, the feeding it. I think where I would differentiate that is the energy of the spell itself, like the fixation on the spell versus the environment you're creating for yourself energetically to receive it. So I definitely do agree with, like being positive and like, I'm going to have love, like I deserve love, like I'm in a loving space versus like being fixated on like the actual spell itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
So I think I had seen in the chat that Llewellyn wanted to ask what kind of tarot cards are really great when you're doing love spells. So I just want to share a couple of anybody who's watching, who's interested. And also they asked the question, why is tarot so effective in casting a spell. And quite simply, I think one of the most important parts of spell casting is that visualization, right? And so, of course, tarot works on a visual level, just immediately when you look at the cards, even if you don't know what the cards represent. But hopefully, if you have a relationship with the arcana, then the cards, you realize, are really like living worlds. They're like herbs, they're like trees, they're like plants and animals. They're a whole world unto themselves. So you can really move into the cards and kind of start working with their magic. So if you are looking for something like brand new and saucy and racy, by all means, you want to use the Lover's card. I mean, it's the one card that pretty much everyone knows about, right? Like somebody who doesn't even know tarot goes, oh, the Lover's card, yes. So this is such a great, perfect, like love spell card. But there's also a lesson in the Lover's card, which is that what the Lover shows you is what is possible, but not necessarily what is sustainable in terms of 2 years into the relationship. You know, how many of us are still in this, well, hopefully you're in a naked wanton state. But if you're looking for something maybe a little more kind of like gentle, when you're really looking to find someone who is like a mirror to you energetically and softly, the Two of Cups is such a beautiful card to use because it really represents meeting kind of like the mirror to your heart, like the perfect partner. So it's a little more low key. Now, if you're working on spells for yourself, for all around like self-love, Ace of Cups is about being open. It's about letting your emotions flow. So this is perfect for just getting yourself into a healthy, good, like I am like moving and grooving and ready to meet whatever is my highest intention. And if you've got a hot date or you want to put out something sexy, you got to use some Queen of Wands because she is the Queen of Fire. She is sitting there with her legs spread apart. She's got her minion. She knows what she wants. So do you. She's always at your beck and call. So those are my suggestions.
Like the Grindr app card.
Exactly.
What's so straight is like Tinder. Tinder is the, I'm like translating. So in gay world, that would be Grindr.
You're like, please translate for me. I don't. Okay, Matt,
Okay.
You have a question. I'm going to read it to you. Matt, you have touched on a lot of topics that you cover in Psychic Witch. Why are intuition and our psychic skills important to our work with love spells? Do you have any quick suggestions for enhancing our intuition before we do such spells? Hot tips. We want some hot tips,
Well,
Matt.
I mean, I think I'm a big advocate of any magic you do, love or not love, like tuning into your intuition, your psychic ability, doing divination on it, because even the approach you're taking may be incorrect. So I'm very big on, and it kind of goes with what Najah was saying, this whole like, you know, connection with deity or spirits, right? Like I want them to be involved. I want to get their counsel before I, think this is the best course to take, So I differentiate in my book the difference between psychic ability and intuition, and that has to deal with the three soul model, right? So I see psychic ability as the higher self relaying information to the middle self, stuff that's totally unknowable, and then intuition being the lower self, that physical body, that emotional body, that primal body, relaying sensory environmental information to you. And intuition is usually felt as a emotional experience or a physical sensation, like a gut feeling, right? Or like I just get a bad vibe off someone. Like that's how I tend to discuss intuition. In the book, I discuss how to essentially invoke each of those parts and then all of them as a whole. So one of the more advanced exercises at the end is glamoury shape-shifting, which essentially is this idea of casting an illusion. And a lot of that has to deal with the primal self, right? So it's all about creating a primal image of yourself that other people's primal animal nature pick up, but they don't necessarily register. So, you know, if I'm out and I want to be like sexy, 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 you know, I'll do a glamoury on myself, and nothing really changes in my appearance. It's not like The Craft where I can be like, ooh, I got blonde hair, you know? But it's more like this energy, this vibe that people can't pick up. And I like to invoke different parts of myself for different types of magic. So if I'm looking to get a really sexy love, you know, I'll invoke that lower self. If I'm looking for something that is more long lasting, more spiritual, healthy, I'll invoke my higher self. And I do very much like you guys were talking about, like the ending of your spells. Being a Silver Ravenwolf kid and Sybil Leek and Laurie Cabot, you know, I'm very big on for the highest good of all, harming none, may the spell not reverse or place upon me any curse, which is Sybil Leek. And then Laurie Cabot adds on, may all astrological correspondences be correct for this working, which I have found is like a secret weapon, because throwing in there like that little phrase is going to change when it's sent off or when it's like set off. I don't know, my words are failing.
You have a timer on it.
You know, if you can get the astrological correspondences to be correct, even if they aren't in the moment, that's going to be more powerful than if you do it when it's not. Because you can cast magic anytime. It doesn't matter what planetary hour it is or what phase the moon is or the, you know, the stars, stuff like that. But if you can get it in alignment with correspondence, it's like plugging in a voltage to just make it stronger and stronger and stronger. So I'm totally veering off topic, but
That's good.
Najah, do you want me to read it to you? Pretend to be the interviewer?
Sure.
Najah, Good Juju is all about bringing in what is good into our life. You already mentioned a few with the sun and your mojo bags, but what are some of the other favorite magical practices for bringing love and light into our lives, especially during these times?
Well, you know, Good Juju is all about a spiritual foundation. You know, for me and my practices and what I teach people, you gotta have a routine. You have to have a practice. And, you know, I really want to impress upon people the power of a practice. And it's a practice that sustains you when you can't do shit. I mean, it's been COVID. I mean, the other day, I didn't even take a shower till like 6 o'clock in the evening. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been in my night clothes all day. I just didn't feel like it, you know? But somehow, I mean, it's COVID. You got to keep it real. I mean, the world has changed. However, but what I do have is somehow I'm able to like throw on my boots in the morning because I live in Denver. It's super cold here right now. And, you know, put on my Sorels, go outside, light some incense, which is pretty cheap and easy if you can, you know, some people are allergic, like our dear friend Matt was saying, and, you know, that might bother you. Sometimes that bothers me, but I get my ass out there and just look up at the sky and say thank you. And I'm also really big on honoring my ancestors, those who have gone before me. I like to remember those people whose shoulders upon whom I stand so I can, you know, do what I do. And so I pour water to them every day. But there's been a couple of days when I've just been in a really shitty mood because of COVID. And normally I might go through all of my ancestor ritual and all this. And the other day I just went like, you know what? Okay, look, this is for y'all. This is for me. Thank you. I'm done. But, you know, you need to take care of me today. I know I'm honoring you and I'm doing all these stuff. Can you do some work for me? Because I'm tired. I'm mad. Like Matt was saying, there's been things going on in the world that sometimes don't make me feel real loving, you know, but I try to make that connection every day. And that's what I want to tell people too in this love spell chat is to take it easy on yourself. There's so much going on right now. But if you have that one practice, if you can just light that one candle or go out at night, okay, don't light a candle. Don't do a spell. But can you look up at the sun or the moon and say, oh, thank you. That may be all you can do. But you know what? If you do that every day, it will carry you through. And then maybe one day you'll have the energy to go, I think I want to do a little bit more magic today. I'm kind of feeling it. So I think too, a spiritual practice helps us build trust that the universe will hold our hands and sustain us, especially in these troubled times that we're living in. And that's what I've really been happy to fall back on, is that doing something on a regular basis, especially when times are hard, will carry you through.
Well said.
I was going to say one little thing about that too. That's such a beautiful thing, Najah, what you said. In a very practical sense, I have been limiting my consumption of news and stuff out there so I can bring my energy and my focus back to my work here. And I think that just that one little practical step has helped me a lot with where my energy is dissipating, because that energy wants to go and flow to all of that's out there, and it's hard. It's hard. So I just take the littlest bits of that information, and I'm really careful about what I consume too.
And I think
it helps.
I think self-care is love magic. So, going back to the doing magic on yourself. And I think what Najah was saying about, the routine of a spiritual practice being so important. There's also times when, you need a break, and sometimes your spiritual practice is going to be simple, just like anything. Sometimes your muscles have to kind of relax so that they can be strengthened. Sometimes you don't have the batteries, which is why I'm very big on integrating my spirituality into my daily life as well. Finding mundane things that I do that I can integrate spirit and magic into, to, if it's the barest minimum, I'm still doing something. Jason Miller, in one of his courses, something I love, which is don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. And I think that's a big pitfall for a lot of spiritual practitioners. We have this idea of like, oh, I have to do all this elaborate ritual every single day, or I'm just not going to attempt it at all, which is the idea of a perfect, practice becoming the enemy of the good. So if you can do the bare minimum, do the bare minimum. But I definitely, believe that self-care is love magic.
Llewellyn is saying we're out of time. Unfortunately, they're pulling the hook out, just like Midnight at the Apollo, right?
We're good, right?
Unfortunately, we are nearing the end. Sad face. One last question. On a final note, what is the one thing, only one, that you want folks to know this Valentine's season? One thing.
You are enough.
And be in the space. Be in the space that if you want to be in the space of like love and erotic deliciousness, wake up and get yourself ready. Like he or she or they are coming over tonight, even if they're not. Just act like they are. Be in the space that you want to be in. The point of your spell. Live your spell in the moment.
Be love in the world, and you will attract love to you.
I mean, I don't think I have anything else to add that you guys haven't already said. I do want to say straight up, honestly, like little tip. I have had huge success with Pamita's oils. So if you're looking to draw love to you, like I definitely this isn't like a paid promotion or anything. Like I've tried a lot of stuff that don't work. Pamita shit work. I don't know if I should have said the S word, but
what? Did you say shit?
I
don't know. It's the one.
Y'all, you the shit. Your shit is enough.
Yeah.
Real.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I want us to hang out some more.
I know.
And all of you guys here that have been with us, this has been so, so great. Oh, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you,
everybody. Come and find us online. Come and find all of us on all the socials and all the other things, and come hang out with us some more. We all have things that we're doing, workshops that we're doing, classes that we're giving. So come and find us and we can hang out some more. How's that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks, everybody.
35% off Llewellyn.com when you use Love35 at checkout. That's the best news of all. A discount.
Hey!
Yeah.
Another hot tip.
Another hot tip. Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Yay.